We might need it for them.
Yeah, no.
Huh?
Yeah, no.
Need a couple more chairs? Just one chair.
Also, an extra 2 feet moving that wall backwards.
I love that wall. I love those bricks. I love those mid-century, but
Mid-century.
you know me, I love me mid-century. Maybe it's because I grew up with those Danish modern coffee table and.
Because, to me, if you want to see brick work like that, just go down to Palm Springs and it's
Yeah.
everywhere.
I know.
Everywhere.
You know, I am allergic to something in the Coachella Valley. I think it's mesquite, and every time we go down there, I am miserable. So it's definitely only a day trip for me. Definitely is not a vacation destination. I won't be buying a house in Palm Springs.
We went out there for dinner when we was trying this birthday, so it was really. Just the day, drove out there and spent the day, had dinner, and came home. So.
We have.
What you look like, huh? But when you go to the board of directors meeting, now you get to see what you look like on the other side of the room. That's what everybody sees.
What meetings are these?
Oh, that's.
Another Zoom meeting, all of the meetings, now you're all of us square. You get to see what everybody looks like.
Like the Brady Bunch.
You know,
Your own.
you know, that was before it's time. The same designer.
Are you gonna want us to report on that meeting list? Or is that next?
You could give an update, yes.
No, I know, a long time ago, I really. Another kid of mine.
See, they could all grow up.
How are you? This is my dad.
Oh, hi.
That's all work. What are you doing?
Long time. Yeah.
All right.
Bob, do you want me to report out on our 3 items, or are you gonna report out on?
I can do it if you'd like me to.
Okay, I'll let you do that.
Let me find my agenda first.
Also, like.
Here we go.
I couldn't go.
Not yet, not yet. We haven't
Okay.
started yet.
We're giving Rebecca a minute to get on,
My teacher.
Understood.
all right. Can you guys see my agenda now for the screen, Bob, for Jose?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You can do that when I come.
Perfect.
Exercise.
It came in.
No, it's from,
Oh.
we have to take an email?
No, that's yours now.
No,
Does anyone have a yellow, an orange card? They want me out. Can I get that please? You have one yellow one. We have one yellow.
you have.
You want to call her there and see what's going on?
But it's not till.
Well, I'm afraid my caller.
That's fine. So she comes for added.
Item, what's your number? 5.1?
Yeah.
5.
You know, your charge on your phone there, Colby,
Okay.
No,
that's fine.
I have. At 26%.
you're not gonna make it to a whole meeting
Yeah.
unless you plug it in.
You need my card.
Well, I gotta plug it right there. It's probably. We can try it how it works.
Try what?
Having Rebecca call my phone again.
Well, I don't know if we have any other choice.
No.
Apologize. We have a board member that's on remote and they're having difficulty signing into the meeting. So we may just have to have her on
Speakerphone.
speakerphone. I apologize. Doing our best in this brave new world we're in.
I think you can call out from a Zoom, like call her from Zoom.
Let's just try you on speakerphone. How's that sound? Let's just try it on speakerphone then, okay? All right, sounds good. Yep, you're on.
You gonna put her there like before or?
How did, yeah,
Usually if they have a moment between those two.
Got on your Zoom invitation, doesn't have a phone number they can call in.
she can't make shoes, yeah.
It's not been working.
Not working.
Can't you call her through Zoom?
No, you can't call somebody. I don't believe
And is that volume up all the way?
that volume's up all the way.
Okay.
Good
Rebecca,
question.
are you starting the meeting or am I starting the meeting?
If you would go ahead.
Okay.
Things around me right now.
Okay, not a problem. What time is your computer saying?
6:34.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order at 6:34. I am Kim Gerald Johnson. I'm the Vice President of the Board. Our President, Rebecca Verdarte Bird is on speakerphone, but she has asked me to go ahead and run the meeting tonight. So the first thing we're going to do is pledge of allegiance, and Mr. Leja, if you can do that for us.
Everybody please stand. Your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
And now, Mr. Owen, if you could please give us the report on our 3 closed session items.
Will do. At 5:30, the board went into closed session and discussed 3 separate items. First, pursuant to 54956.9 of the California Government Code, they discussed potential litigation. They gave advice to their attorney. Second, pursuant to section 54956.8, they conferred with their real property negotiator regarding the parcel of property shown on the agenda. And third, pursuant to section 54957, they considered personnel matters, namely the contract of the general manager going forward. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
We can now have roll call.
Yes. Division 1, Gerald Johnson.
Here.
Division 2, Jose Luis Godinez.
Present.
Division 3, Rebecca Redorte Byrne. Division 4, Edgar Castellan.
Present.
Division 5, Ross Leja.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have presentations and recognitions. Mr. DeWitt?
Yes, this evening we have the introduction of 2 of our new recreation specialists, Morelli Pena and Cecilia Torres. So if you guys want, Morelli, you want to step up and introduce yourself to the board and our residents?
My name is Marely Pina. I will be at the Eddie D. Smith Senior Center with Debbie. I'm really excited. I'm loving it so far. I've only been there 2 weeks. I'm really excited. Seniors are so welcoming. Everyone here has been so welcoming. And I'm super excited to see what my future is with Garupa Valley.
Thank you.
And Cecilia.
Hello, my name is Cecilia. I also go by Cece. I'm going to be the specialist over at the Skyview Event Center. I have been told that they want me to primarily focus on contract classes, so I'm excited to kind of, bring what I've learned at other agencies that I've worked at. Hearing from the public as well, what kind of classes you guys would like to, bring and have available to you guys. So I'm eager to get started with all of that and, see what my time here, is like. I would like to be here, grow more within recreation. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Welcome to JARPD, and we're so glad you could join us.
Yes, we're extremely excited to have both of them on. They hit the ground running, literally summer, the busiest time of the year for us. Getting ready for July 3rd, concerts in the parks. Senior Center is packed every single day, doesn't matter what time of the year it is. And then the growth that we're experiencing from Skyview, Cecilia, CC is hitting the ground running as well. So we're excited to have them on board. And I'm pleased to announce that we're at a comfortable staffing level. So we're excited for all this. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for being
You guys are
here
welcome to stick around. It's going to be fun.
tonight. Or not. It's okay.
Okay.
Next is public comments. I do not currently have any slips for anyone that wants to speak on general public comments. Is there anyone who's wanting to speak on general public comments?
I'm sorry, I worked late. Is that okay? You want me to write?
Yes, you fill one out when you're done.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh, when I'm done?
yeah,
that's
when you're done, go ahead and.
Okay.
We trust you.
No problem. Hi, everybody. Thank you. Basically, my public comment is I would like an update. I know we have discussed about the park in Mariloma and budget, everything is coming up right now. So actually, I'd like to hear from you guys what the plan is and what's been actually happening in the process. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, we'll go on to our consent calendar. Are there any questions or any items that you need to have pulled on the consent calendar? My fellow board members? No? Anybody?
Approval of the consent calendar. All second.
Okay, we have a roll call. Michelle, second. Yes, I don't need a roll call.
Okay, so Edgar Castellan,
Yes.
Ross Leisha,
Yes.
Gerald Johnson,
Yes.
Rebecca Duarte Byrne,
Yes.
and Jose Luis Godinez.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay. Now we're going on to item 5.1, request for fee waiver for use of Skyview Event Center for the 2022 Garupa Valley Food Fest.
Yes, Madam President, I believe we do have we have members from both the Garupa Valley Rotary Club and the Lions Club that would like to speak as well on this. But a quick staff report. This event has gone on in the community here for decades. And the funds raised between the joint activity are used for scholarships for graduating seniors at local high schools, correct? Last year was the first year that they held the event at Skyview after a 2-year hiatus, I believe it was. And all accounts, it went very well. And they have again requested the use of the center for September 24th of this year. They're requesting 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. From their application. I think that's going to have to be adjusted, because I think the event ends at 8 p.m. So we're probably gonna need you're probably gonna need it later, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so we can make those adjustments, but we just need the information. As I said, the funds go towards support college scholarships for local residents here. One thing I did leave out of the staff report, and I apologize. A nonprofit group renting the facility is $100 per hour. So this would basically be about a $1,200 donation, in-kind donation from the district, give or take, based upon their final hours of the event. They still will be required to pull an ABC permit, alcohol and beverage control, because they do sell alcohol. They need to get their food permit because of the food that's being distributed, and they do pay for security. With that, I don't know if the board had questions or they want to bring up the members from the different clubs.
Sure, we can go ahead. Lyles?
I'm here tonight representing the Garupa District Lions here. And what Kobe has covered is correct. The Lions Club been in this community for coming up on 75 years. And the last 20 were pretty successful. The last 2, one of them was COVID. And then we did the first time at your park. And we'd like to come back again this year. So we've submitted a letter. But the Skyview Center will be listed as one of our sponsors in kind, like you just mentioned, okay? We also will keep them on our Facebook page and whatever else that we have them there. So we've also made a small donation to the JARPD for them to use after the food fest. Did you get one last year?
I don't recall.
Okay,
I don't believe.
because that's what we promised last year also.
Well, we did the spectacular, we did the.
Yeah, they've done a number of
We've
events. in
done
the
other
past.
events with the parks.
Okay, very good. So that's how we do it. We do give out, like you mentioned, a lot of scholarships. This year, the Lions Club gave out 10 scholarships and the Rotarians gave out 3 scholarships, 4. So we're up to 14 scholarships. And that's like just under $10,000 that the both clubs put in. We put in 5,000 and you said you had 1,000. Yeah, so that's where about 90% of the money that we raise goes to. But if you have any questions, I know we have a Lion Club member here, Leha. You threatened to be a member, but maybe in the future.
Armando's coming in.
Oh, and did, Mr. Byrne for the Rotary, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say, yes, we have 23rd annual events. All of that was at the Spectrum Center outside. It was a change up, obviously coming out of COVID, it was a good opportunity with the Skyview Event Center. I've been very excited to see that on the possibilities of events. It worked out well. I think we attracted a lot of new patronage. A lot of people got to see the Skyview Event Center. I think that we showed it off as best we could, and we're really excited to have it back. Back on the money that we're donating, I think I did talk to Kobe last year that in the future we put towards a scholarship program that you guys had. So we wanted to put some of the money that we're going to raise for this year and actually for all the coming years at the Skyview Event Center, put that towards the JRPD scholarship fund that I think you already have existing. Other than that, very much pleasurable to have it. Staff was incredible. The facility was very fantastic with the kitchen ability to have it with the food fest was phenomenally make it easier for us. In the past, we had to have it outside with a lot more regulations. We got to test out the kitchen, I think, for the very first time. And it was just a very good response. And we're looking to really increase our numbers. Once again, that number that we get from Food Fest is actually earmarked as far as the Rotarians for our scholarship. So that is where our scholarship money comes from, unless we put a little extra in there. So I want to thank you guys for allowing it to happen this year. We look forward to hopefully getting some consensus on allowing us to have it this year. So thank you.
Could we get an answer from someone about what the hours really need to be since 8 o'clock?
Yeah, what would be the latest hours we could be?
Well, your application said till 8 PM, but I think that's
the time when it ends. We'll be done at 7:30.
how long do you need for cleanup?
Hour and a half. I mean, I think we got out by 10, so I think 10 o'clock would, if that's available, 10 o'clock would be fine.
We don't book anything else that day. That would not be an issue on the park district end.
Okay, we just need to know.
Yeah, we just need to know.
Yeah, 10 o'clock would be fine. I think it's more than enough time.
If you still want to start at 9,
But we want to be able to set up, so that's why the 9 o'clock would be.
set up, go home, clean up, come back.
Okay, do we need a new application with the correct date for?
No, typically something like this, just something in writing to staff that we can attach to the application, so we have it. A simple email extending it to 10 PM.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There any other questions?
The last thing I have is the restaurant letter that goes out. We have that printed up already. And we have a sponsor letter. I'd like to leave a copy of each one here with you, please, so that you can have it. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions? Do I have a,
Yeah, I move the board of directors approve the request for waiver of fees for the use of Skyview Event Center for the 2022 Garupa Valley Food Fest.
I second that.
okay,
Okay, and roll call since we have a vote.
go ahead.
Okay, Kim Gerald Johnson,
Aye.
Edgar Tetzelon,
Yes.
Rob Leisure,
Yes.
Rebecca Rodorche Byrne,
Yes.
Jose Luis Godinez.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Looking forward to it.
As always.
Yes, as always, looking forward to it.
Let me go ahead and get your
September
papers.
24th.
And since I'm assuming you guys aren't going to stick around, we have an update on Skyview Event Center. I would suggest you put in your 2023 application.
Okay.
Like tomorrow, because it's getting very busy, as you're going to hear.
Okay, great. No offense, I'm gonna do it online.
Understood.
Okay. Next, it's item 5.2, a workshop on the Skyview Event Center operations. Mr. DeWitt?
Yes, as the board had requested, this is the third in a series of workshops on the different facilities we opened and acquired kind of during the pandemic. Now that we've been opening and operating them for a year now. So Skyview Event Center, as you're all aware, started here, I'm sorry, had a rough start. Skyview Event Center opened our official grand opening was June 16th. And as you all are aware, we had a drive-through event of the facility July 6th, less than a month after the opening. It was $70,000 in damage to that facility. Insurance is covering it, and we anticipate the final payments on that, hopefully by the end of the fiscal year. We do have a $2,000 deductible, but the $68,000 will be coming from insurance. I am disappointed to say no charges were ever filed.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Very unfortunate, but that's a whole nother story. We've had multiple pandemic reopenings, as we've kind of referred to it as. As we're aware, we've kind of been up and down this past year with the COVID-19 pandemic. And as we're going to talk about tonight, that's impacted rentals and classes going forward, which is, there's a breeding necessity for those facilities. Rentals through today, since June 18th, or we opened June 15th to June 18th, that first weekend, we had our very first rental for the facility. This last year, we've had a total of 67 rentals. We only have 6 Saturdays remaining in 2022 that are available. So that's why I was hinting for the Lions and Rotary for next year, get their date in soon, because we're already starting to fill in 2023. Majority of the events have been quinceañeras or wedding receptions along those lines. But we've had a number of different parties, receptions, events at the facility, including the Garupa Valley State of the City, the Eastville Chamber of Commerce installation dinner, Garupa Valley Food Fest, as we just talked about here, and then other numerous nonprofit award ceremonies that have gone on there. So it's been very nice to see. I know Director Castellan attended one in which his work boss received an award. That was nice to see. So. And like I said, 2023 is starting to book up quickly. What we're finding is people are booking 6 to 9 months in advance for most events coming up. But when we first came out of the pandemic, they were booking next month as it was available. So many activities and events have been postponed. One of the things we did take early on when we did open up because of the pandemic situation, if somebody needed to change a date, we did not charge them cancellation fees or rebooking fees. We worked with them as long as they transferred it to another available date with us. If they canceled it, then we did have to charge them the refund processing fee, which is $100. But that was it. But for the most part, 99% of the people did transfer their reservation to a later date. We did have a total of 12 reservations that were completely canceled because of pandemic related issues. And the average reservation for a weekend is about $3,200. Seems like a lot of money, but it's actually a great pricing compared to private facilities. So we did have about $30,000 or so in lost revenue because of the pandemic. For recreation classes, we have a number of fitness classes going on, painting classes, martial arts programs, cheer and palm, and yoga and Pilates. We have some more art classes, some ceramic classes, and then Loretta's favorite exciting one she's for is we have a cookie decorating class coming. And as Cecilia referred to, one of her main jobs is to bring in more classes at that facility. Right now, we do have programs going Monday through Thursday. Basically 3:30, 4 o'clock, the time kids get out of school until about 8, 8:30, maybe even 9 o'clock, depending on the night. Classes, again, have also been impacted from the pandemic. One of the things we have found district-wide, our programs that were outdoors really quickly returned to pre-pandemic or close to levels, but our indoor programs were much slower in returning to our normal numbers. All these programs at Skyview were obviously brand new to the district. Our fitness programs are doing well. The painting class is phenomenal. Great turnout there, but it's a smaller class just because of the nature of it. But the big surprise lately has been our martial arts program. We're up to 39 students. Yeah, 39 students on that's a monthly class. That's doing phenomenal. So we're really excited for that. Our cheer and palm is another large program, and yoga and Pilates is another smaller class, but it's doing well during the day. So we're excited for that where we're at. So the big thing I know you guys are interested in is our revenue and our expenses. Right now, rentals for the year was about 85,000. We really thought it'd be closer to the other one's not been canceled, about 115,000. And then our recreation classes and activities were at just shy of $50,000. But the reality is most of that class revenue has taken place in about the last 4 months. Really this calendar year, since about February is when our program is really, when things started opening back up, and that's when most of our participation has really come in. Expense wise, we're about $130,000 there. I can go through each of, but there are operating costs. And 81,000 of that being in staffing. That is lower than we anticipated because we've had less events, less activities and then we haven't had staff, frankly. It's just been Nestor out there majority of the time. And we've been supplementing with other staff that can do work from there. So we have multiple staff in the building at a time. So we've been able to control our costs. So right now we're slightly in the black. Our ultimate long-term goal for this facility is to cover costs. I think we're proving that we're going to be able to do that going forward. Talking with staff, Nestor today, one of the things that we are going to be looking at coming back to the board to this next fiscal year talking about is we need to add some curtains in the main room. The light is just impacting our activities more than we had anticipated it doing. So we'll be looking at adding some blinds or curtains in the main room, hopefully this next fiscal year. Otherwise, with that, I'm available. So you guys have any questions regarding Skyview?
Yes, I do, Colby. I know we talked about this when we first opened it, and I know hopefully with this new person coming on, will we focus on the businesses around? I'm accustomed to those venues really being used because big hotels can't accommodate. So my hope is this new person will focus on businesses coming to utilize our services. So
Yeah.
that's not that. I'd like it to be one.
Yeah, so one of the things we're working on right now, staff is working on is a brochure for our regular reservations, but also, catering to the businesses looking for a place to host training opportunities or recruitment fairs, or they need to do annual, sexual harassment trainings or their workman's comp type of stuff. That facility is not used on a regular basis for class between, 8 a.m. and early afternoon when these types of activities would go on. And with the massive amount of warehouses we have on that end of the district, it's an ideal location for some of that stuff. We have been in contact with Amazon. They've inquired about the availability of stuff like that. So, there may be some of that stuff coming in the future, but that is part of our marketing plan as well. Now that we have staff on to help with that.
Okay, thank you.
Can you please bring up the expenses slide?
Yeah. Let me see here.
Okay, when we rent the facility, don't they supply the security? I was wondering what the 10,000.
No, our fee is all inclusive. When we rent out the facility for the private party, it includes the security as well. The only thing it doesn't include is their insurance. And we have an option that they can use for it. And if they, the only other thing that would be included, if they're gonna have hard alcohol, there's an upcharge for that. But the security guards are included as part of their rental fee.
So is that what that number is?
The security guard,
for
yes.
rentals?
That's what we're
Okay, it's
paying
not
for.
any security guards we hired.
No, it's for security guards for rentals.
Okay.
Yeah, it's built
I
into
have the
their,
same question.
it's built into their fee. And and I maybe should have mentioned this earlier, but one of the things staff is looking at now that we have a year's worth of fees, we're going through and looking at our operating costs because we all know our utilities are going up, our water's going up. We received an increase from the security guards, they're charging more now. So we're looking at our fees and seeing what we have to do, if anything, to adjust those to compensate for that as well.
And we also had talked about a vendor list, and hopefully that our local businesses would be on that list. But I didn't mean to say when someone comes into rent for a banquet or whatever, and I don't know if we have it now, but I'll ask, not a preferred, but at least something that would help them to say, oh, you've got 10. We're not recommending any one specific, but at least we give them a little push that these are the people that we work with. And then we have a partnership going on, not only with those that are going to use our facility, but our businesses around. So are we going to do something like that, or are we going to be looking at something like that, or do we presently have something like that?
We do have something like that. Like you said, we don't We don't give preference over any one vendor to another, but basically we have a list of people, they have to supply us with insurance as well, their catering licenses or whatever it may be. And these are businesses that we worked with that, we're not saying if their food's any good or not, but they met our requirements. And frankly, they left everything clean. There were some problems with them, that we would want to see them back. So we have that type of a list. That we can have. We also have other rental companies where people have wanted to bring in, whether it be different linens or chair covers or decorations that we've worked with as well. Again, we don't give priority to any vendor over another, but this is who we've worked with and we've had a good relationship with them.
Right, and that again, brings light to, our businesses locally that I know where they are, and having done this, I guess we all have, but to come in with something like that as a package that you would offer me, would really, steer me to using your facility, in this term, our facility, because you're helping me put it all together, so I
Yes.
appreciate that.
And it's being well received. And somebody still, they may have their favorite caterer they want to bring in. They can still do that. It's not a problem. We just need a copy of their city business permit as well as their insurance. It's usually not a challenge to have that set up.
Okay.
Any other questions? Mr. Godinez, do you have any questions?
Not at this time, no.
Okay.
What are the rentals looking like during the weekdays?
One of the things that we had, sorry, I'm trying to get this, my mouse here is lost. Want to make sure I'm not board members. One of the things that when we were setting the rental up, we wanted to make sure that the facility was available for the public for classes and stuff Monday through Thursday in the afternoons. And we talked about that's growing. And we're getting more weekday rentals during the day, maybe 1 or 2 a month right now. We've had a couple of school district activities. We had a board of realtors had a meeting there. Those are the types of things that we're marketing to more now. Staff is working on a flyer to send out to the businesses for holiday parties and stuff like that, that we're looking for locations. So we're trying to hit all avenues when it comes to it, but that sweet spot, where we have nothing going in the building from 8 to 3 o'clock, most days. We're trying to get those types of programs, whether it be, like I said, the board of realtors was a perfect one. I know Nestor was in contact with somebody wanting to come and do a notary class, things along those lines. Those are things we're really trying to push and have available. So.
Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments? Okay. Hearing none, we'll go on to the next item on the agenda, 5.3, approval of the lease agreement with Turf Tank for Rancho Garupa Regional Sports Park. Mr. DeWitt?
Yes, as the board knows, this is one of our budget requests for next fiscal year. For painting of the lines at the soccer park there. And the reason this is coming for you now is simply a timing issue. I don't want to presume it's going to be approved within the budget, but it's coming out of the sports park. Everything there has been self-sufficient we had set that up to be. But we need to get this ordered now so we can have it here prior to the next start of the next youth soccer season. It's about 6 to 8 week lead time on the product right now. So I put it here early August and we need to be able to have it programmed and operational by the 2nd week of August. So that's why we're bringing this forward now for your consideration. We've talked about it at the budget level. We've talked about it in some workshops in the past. One of the issues we're facing right now, we have about 14 different user groups out there right now. And about 6 of them use the grass fields. Right now they're painting the fields themselves. So we have 6 different colors out there. And it gets confusing and groups painting over each other lines and things along that. We'll be coming back. We'll be adjusting the fees for this and we'll be painting all the lines going forward. Clean the facility up and frankly, AYSO, a lot of their lines are and they're straight-ish, this machine makes them, they're next to perfect. And that's one of the things that's going to bring in more rentals, our youth and adult programs that are looking at, they want pristine facilities. And one of the first things you look at a line and it's going like this, it's not appealing necessarily. So this will bring us nice, crisp, tight lines. It'll also be usable for other things. We can program it not just to do soccer fields, but it'll do lacrosse, rugby, you name it, anything on grass, we can program it to paint those fields. It'll do baseball fields as well. And the unique thing is, we can actually program it to paint parking lots, parking stalls. So the dirt lot out here at the arena, when we used it for the Easter egg hunt, we had challenges with the parking. So we'll set up a template for the parking lot, come out here, set it, let it go. About an hour later, it's done painting. You know, we won't have to spend hours upon hours. The school district striped the lot right now for the graduation at Garupa Middle School a couple weeks ago. And it took 2 guys a day and a half to set it up. When we're done, it'll take us literally an hour to paint the lots like that. So it has a lot of advantages to it. One of the things that we're gonna discuss internally after we've gotten used to it a lot, we've had agencies that we've talked to that know that we're inquiring and looking at this, and they've already reached out to us about, we contract with them for special things to come and paint fields as needed. Not on a regular basis, but for special activities. And we'll be looking at those opportunities down the road if we can recoup more of our costs that way as well. So with that, I'm available for any questions you may have.
Well, I'm excited about that, Chloe. As you just said, the pristine look is very important, and so I'm glad you're on that. That to me really says a lot about how we would like to attract those that come to us. So thank you.
I was curious, it says that the $10,000 a year rental comes with enough field paint concentrate to mix up to 240 gallons of paint.
Yes.
Is that enough or what?
No, from what we're figuring, that will exceed at least 1 season of painting. It really has to do with how much we want to dilute it as well. And in talking with the salesman, and he was actually fairly honest in it. We will be able to cover well over 1 season. It's not going to cover the entire year's worth of paint for us. And we don't have to buy it from them. There's other vendors out there we can buy it from. Yeah, there's a couple different ones. It has to be a specific water-based type of paint. And this will actually even take a special paint that we can paint the artificial turf fields with as well. It's more of a chalk, and then it washes off. That's more costly, obviously. But it has to do with how much we dilute it. Your first painting of the season, you want to go heavier, establish that first striping for the season. And then after that, you tone it down because you're just essentially going over it. It comes with a GPS unit that you set in the same spot every time. And it's literally within fractions of an inch accuracy. So it repaints itself every time. So it's not like the line would float, left or right each week when it's painting. So
That's good.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So an employee could set this up, set it to go, and then go do other things.
Correct. It's set it and, it'll paint the field. Takes about, when we had the demo, they painted 1 soccer field for us. It took about 20 minutes to paint a field, which is a little quicker than a person doing a good job can do it. If you're doing a bad job, you can do it much faster, obviously. They're just flying over it. And from what we can tell, based on the pricing versus what we're AYSO, or when we're painting, we're buying, the aerosol spray upside down cans that go into a holder. So about the same price when we dilute it out. So we don't think it's not going to cost any more in material, but we're going to save on our labor and the volunteer labor. One thing I didn't fail to mention, but we'll be adjusting the rates for this as well. AYSO is more than happy to contribute what they've been paying in purchasing a paint, which is about $3,000 a year towards offsetting it. And the rest of it will make up in staff time and the upcharges with the different adult and youth leagues that are painting fields right now. Most of the private leagues are paying somebody right now to come out and paint the fields. And for what they're paying is what will be basically the same rate we'll be able to charge. So they have no quorums either. So.
Yeah, and I noticed it said something about the software updates and maintenance on it is all.
Yep, it's all included.
Is that included year by year, or is that just the first year of the software updates? Or
As long as we have the machine, it includes software updates and maintenance on it should something happen. And they even offer, because we're so close to their North American headquarters, which is out of like Ventura. If something were to happen to us, they'd bring us a loaner.
Mr. Godinez, do you have any questions?
No question, just I'm all on board with this product.
Ms. Burns? Mr. Estlin, okay. May I have a motion then?
I move the board of directors authorize the lease agreement with Mr. Tank for the Rancho Garupa Regional Sports Park.
Second,
I have a question. You're saying we might use it other places, so is it appropriate to say for the Rancho Garupa Sports Park if we plan on using it otherwise?
I don't think that has any ultimate impact. I just want to make sure that that's what the intention, the main purpose of it would be.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Okay, can you begin the roll call?
Yes,
Okay, Kim Gerald Johnson,
aye.
Edgar Castellan,
Yes.
Ross Leisha,
yes.
Rebecca Redor Tabor,
Yes.
and Jose Luis Godinez.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion happens 5-0.
Okay, very good. And item 5.4, discussion of translation services for board meetings. Mr. DeBrey?
Yes, I guess clarify, technically it should be interpretive services, not translation services, so I apologize for that. One of the things the board has requested of me this last year is to see what we can do to have these services available at our meetings if requested. So I have for the board, I need some guidance as to what it is we're looking for meetings, and not just for Spanish, but should we receive other translation or interpretive service requests. Under law, we have to provide sign language under ADA. And with that, the requirement is 48 hours in advance notice. But some of the questions that I do have for the board, is this something a bilingual staff member can handle? Or do we need to have a contract with a service that offers these services to us? The notification period is 48 hours acceptable. Can the request be for the entire board meeting, or if somebody wanted just one specific agenda item? How do we want to approach that? And then the other thing that came up is, do the board members want interpretive services? If we had a Hispanic member making a public comment, do you want the interpretive services available to you as well? So these are the questions that I have that came up. Some of the questions I have spoke with Mr. Owen regarding with our public hearings, the legal proceedings requirements of that, if he had any concerns about if there was an error in the translation that took place. And ultimately his feeling, and correct me, Bob, if I'm wrong, but his feeling was that wasn't a concern because we are doing everything in our power to be as transparent as possible. And he did not feel that would be an issue should there be Mr. Godinez, help me if I'm wrong, help me with this, because I know that's something you have expertise in. If it was interpreted wrong or not, not, especially legal terms may not translate perfectly.
Yeah, so because there's no one to correct it anyway, that wouldn't be an issue. I guess that's one way to look at it. Also, you're making the attempt to provide the service, so that should suffice. Obviously, with more anticipation of time and being requested, we would be able to provide better service or be able to contract out. Otherwise, a member of the staff should suffice for that meeting if we're able to accommodate that as well. I think that would be a proper approach.
Okay, thank you. So, and as I say here in the staff report, I don't anticipate having all the answers for the board tonight. I think you're going to have more questions for me as well. But I just think there's something that if we want to be able to provide, we just need to, I don't even want to call it a policy as much as maybe it's a standard operating procedure as something that we're trying to provide for the public here. I just need some guidance as to what it is you anticipate being available.
Okay, hold on.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
We should, before we make our comments, we should get the comments from the public.
Okay.
I do not have any slips, but is there anyone in the public that was wanting to comment on this item? Seeing no one? Oh, okay.
Yes, just a moment.
I think we do need a translator. You know, there's a lot of our fellow folks from the community that don't speak English. But they care about the meetings, you know, they care about the parks that you guys are gonna build for us. So it'll be a lot of help for us, especially, and then even for you guys, whenever we have comments in Spanish, it'll be a lot more easy for us to comment in Spanish, you know, because there's a lot of us that kind of struggle with the second language. But I would appreciate if you guys do have something like that for us, for the community. Thank you.
Are there any other comments?
If we just ask you, would you guys object before you,
Oh, no, we've got one more public comment.
if you guys would just fell asleep before you leave, thank you.
Yeah, I also agree. I think it's, I know I made a comment before on the translation. I think it's a really basic step that can be taken. Having clarity on how far in advance to request it makes sense, especially if there's specific terms or terminology. I think that's totally fine. I think maybe 24 hours would make sense by a day in advance. 48 hours for you know, hand or sign language makes sense because I assume there's more technicalities on it. But yeah, I think 24 hours is good. And more than anything, it's promoting it, making sure that parks and just us as a department, or you all as a department, are promoting the inclusivity to the community. Because one thing is having the service and the other is people knowing that it exists. So just, yeah, those are my comments. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, thank you. Without my slip right now. I would like to also say that on the promotion of the park, and I hear you discussing, you know, the revenue that's coming from these, the parks and renting out and stuff. I just find that it would be so helpful and stuff. Definitely, I would just second what Armando says right there, because now that we're involved in coming to the different meetings and people are asking us questions, we're shocked to say, hey, this is available, these type of things. So as you know, you can look at as we are a connection to the community too, and we can speak and it'll help bring in revenue and make that bottom line a little bit bigger and more services and things can come too. But I do agree that there has to be a bridge, you know, so people will feel comfortable and come, especially if they've never done it before. That way they would feel, oh, it's like, hey, it's my community. Yeah, I'm going to rent out a facility for a quinceañera or for a party or a wedding or you know, baptism, who knows, you know, bar mitzvah. That these would be really helpful and definitely the language. And we ask people to feel comfortable to speak in their language. You know, I couldn't imagine having to want to address a board and having to use a different language. That would be so hard. So as we have requested to everywhere that, yes, a translator would be very much appreciated. And sprechen Deutsch also. Sorry.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm tired.
Okay. I will then close the public hearing and then we'll start with board member comments. Mrs. Byrne?
Yes, I think some of it has already been said, but I don't want to repeat myself, but let me just make the points of the requesting. I really think that, thank you for thinking of that, Colby, that will help us. I would like to say that I would like to prefer that we have a professional and not one that is a staff member. So if the notice that we're asking for comes in and they know that there's going to be a professional that will be doing it, I think that is a comfort zone as well. So in whatever language they are requesting. So the big key for me is the request. Once the request comes, then we will have someone in line, and perhaps we make that the same one where possible. Well, that's what I would be looking for. So the comfort is that there be somebody that is familiar and face to them, whomever that might be. And again, that we will be fulfilling that as to the best of our ability. So that is what I wanted to say in regards to bringing someone in.
Anyone else?
Yeah, oh, go ahead. I'll go last.
Yeah, I think, well, question first, how difficult is it getting right now a professional?
So I've
turnaround?
done some research, and there are a number of different companies out there. Obviously here in Southern California, finding a Spanish translator, interpreter is fairly easy. But we do have other members of our community that may, the members of the Sikh community, or, from different Asian countries. Some of those other languages may not be as easy to obtain. And that's why maybe the 24-hour notice would not necessarily be long enough. And then we're going to get up charges for quote unquote emergencies, things along those lines. If that's assuming that the board wanted a contract with a service for these types of situations. So there are firms out there that provide these services.
Okay, yeah, because I was thinking of, which is depending on how difficult it would be to start with a service and then kind of phase in a staff member, just depending. But I'm also, this discussion is making me think more about the technicalities and some of the wording. So I think a professional might have to be standard. That's what I'm thinking.
Mr. Godinez?
Yeah, so first thing, excuse me, I'm sick right now. There's a distinction between translation and interpretation. For the audience, translation is written while interpretation is spoken. So translation services would be written as in a flyer being translated into Spanish. Interpretation is for, someone speaking at a meeting. I just wanted to clarify that. Also, the 48 hours is standard practice for any agency, including like a school district that has their own interpreters. 48 hours in advance is usually standard practice and preferred. Also, I wouldn't pass judgment on a staff member yet until I've seen them perform. So until then, I wouldn't say they're not a professional, quote unquote. But it would be preferable if we go to an agency, if we do have enough time in advance. And as the community folk knowing this, hearing at the meeting now, having this information, if you know anyone and they need services, maybe you can be that vehicle that sort of communicates with us as JRPD. Thank you.
Mr. Godinez, I have, because this is, your expertise area, obviously. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the interpretive services are not necessarily word for word, correct?
Correct. That's why it's called interpretation. So you usually get like the important terms, and it's not word for word, especially when you get into idiomatic expressions. You can't really interpret those word for word, and there's other things like that, but you do get the terminology that's important, the names and numbers that all goes into the target language from the source language, English, right? And then into the Spanish, the target language. So that's the importance. But you're right, it's not word for word. Otherwise, we'd be transliterating. That would be the term for that.
Yeah, I don't believe it needs to be all that complicated. We just need a translator, and the request will tell us what language they're looking for.
I would agree on the 48 hours because I think anything less than that just doesn't work. My other thing is I'm very concerned that at our last meeting, we had requests for translation and then no one came. not only did no one came who needed translation, no one came. And so we had a staff member who put their life on hold, who made arrangements, their children to be picked up and made all the arrangements to be here to give translation services. And then no one came who needed translation services. No one came, not just no one came who needed translation services. And that was just a really disappointing situation. So given that, I feel that the person who wants translation services needs to be the one that contacts us, as opposed to just a generic community request. So I don't have a problem with what we're talking about here, but I think that the person who wants the translation services, or at the very least, if someone's calling in, they give us the name of the person who's requesting the translation.
Calling on behalf of.
Yeah, hi, I'm calling on behalf. But
Bridget, when you refer to what happened before, we are trying to serve the community. So when the community says and it's requesting, we use the word requesting to say that there has to be a spokesperson, and I think we're just making more of what we need to be doing as serving our community. So I'd rather not speak to what was before, but where we're going forward.
well, what was before is what happened 2 weeks ago. But the other thing that I would also, I'm not,
What a shame.
I'm
You're
not-
scolding the community. That's shameful.
no, I'm actually probably scolding you, but.
Scolding me.
Scolding me
Anyway,
because without
question.
What an embarrassment. You're an embarrassment for our
five
community.
of us, we took our time off work and our city councilman
But
wouldn't
the other
even
thing
show
that I
up.
probably want to say is.
You're an
we need to
embarrassment for our
know what
community.
the price is of the professional translation services that Ms. Byrne had requested, so that we would know.
I am so glad I'm involved in all these meetings from this point on.
We don't need racism in Garupa Valley.
I'm ashamed.
Did
of
you have any comments, Mr. Legend?
No, I think other than I think that 48 hours is definitely much more acceptable than 24.
Yeah,
It may, as Kobe mentioned, it may be easier to get one person for a certain language that you could do that on short notice, but others, and I think that we need to have a standard regardless of what language we need the translation or interpretation for.
Right.
You prepared for Cantonese, from Japanese to German, you name it, Russian. I'll be bringing friends.
Okay, well, if we get 3 different requests in 3 different languages, so this, trying to refine it as we're talking right now, I just think it's inappropriate. All we said and all we were saying is whatever requests we get in, whether it be 2 languages or 3, we will in fact look to accommodate that. So I think we're just getting overly talking about a very simple thing that is being asked of our community,
right.
or community to us. So I think it's just what it needs to be. Put a request. It could be 3 people put in a request. It could be 10. Who knows? We don't know. Just if there is a language that anyone attending wants it to be, then put in your request, and then let's go forward with that.
Yeah, I don't think it should be a rigid request. I think if it's a group of people, someone in general advocating, I think it should be as long as someone puts in the request, no matter if it's for themselves or someone else, I think
Okay.
that's what it should be.
Mr. Diaz, is that what you want?
Yes, and one more thing about basically our setting, it would be considered conference interpreting. So if someone's wanted to speak, give public comment in Spanish, obviously those who don't speak Spanish among the board or the staff would require interpretation services as well. So you would get a headset. You can just take it off when they're speaking English, but that's usually the format. I just wanted to clarify that.
Again, I don't want to get stickly about this, but I think the term of requesting is an ask. So if that term can continue, if those requesting requests, that's it. Now, I don't know. I'm sorry if I think I heard required. I don't think that's where we're at. Whatever is requested is what we'll be working with.
I think I understand where the board's coming from. Is this something you want to see come back as a operating procedure for review? Is it going to be a less informal, in researching this, really no agency has a true set policy. It's It's an agreement that they have with the understanding that, you know, there may not be an interpreter available for whatever reason. You know, even if we had that notice.
And thank you for saying that. Again, we will be putting our best effort forward. If we fall short, then we'll work at it. But it's not to say that we won't. And that's really how I interpret what we're saying. If you put in a request, we will do everything possible. If there's something that we can't do, then we'll come back to the public and say that's what we can't do, but we would like to do this. I think this is so different from what we've had in the past. So in the past being, it wasn't thought of. I mean, someone wants to get up there and would like somebody to translate for them so that their point is made. Well, that's all we're trying to do, and that's all we're asking when you come to these meetings. We want to hear you, and we want that your thoughts are left with us very clearly. So I don't think we need to make too much of this other than let's go forward and again state for the individuals or individual group, whatever that may be. We will do it. We will do it.
I agree with Madam President.
Best of our ability.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
That was what I'm saying. To the best of our ability, absolutely.
Okay, so do you feel you have,
I think I have going forward, I will bring back to the board estimates for a professional service, what their, I don't know how their contracts work, if it's an on-call type of a situation. I can bring that portion of it back
okay,
for review.
I'm sorry, I know you're up, but is there a specific reason? Let's say, because I think the reality is most of the translation would probably be Spanish. I'm not saying that there would never be an opportunity for another language, but I'm probably saying probably 90% or better. Is there, could we have a staff member, bilingual staff member, you know, on call for that, that could get, you know, something extra for coming in and doing, I mean, as compared to actually paying a professional.
And that would be what I brought back.
I stated what I'm looking for, would be looking for a professional, not a staff member.
Well, there's no reason that a staff member can be properly schooled or, you know, to be a translator. I don't see why a staff member that is fluent in both languages can't do it.
Because as was stated, we're going to bring a professional. We are going to
So
as we can. So let's start there. And if it gets to be such a, you know, budgetarily something we have to talk about, I hope not. But no, I think that it's just the right thing to do is to bring in a professional. Go get the best.
Mr. Cavina?
I'd like to reiterate, I wouldn't pass judgment on a staff member until I've seen how they perform in this type of situation. Obviously, we would prefer an agency, but if a staff member is what we have, then that's also a note that we made an attempt.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to commit. I wouldn't want to commit to either one at this point. You know, we do have staff members that are bilingual. We have staff members where English is their second language. I don't know if this would be something that they're comfortable doing. So I wouldn't want to commit them to that either. They need to be comfortable. They need to be comfortable doing this. So I think some more information in regards to how the service or who provides the service is what we need to figure out how to do it. But yes, as Mr. Bej's original question, we could essentially put somebody on call. And if we had a request for services, then they knew that they would work in that day and we'd adjust schedules or whatever. And if we didn't get something in the 48-hour notice, then they know that they're free that night. So, and I imagine a similar situation if we had a service with a company would be a similar concept.
What is the advantage to the professional? What's the difference, Mr. Cadenas, as far as when you say somebody's professional at it, what's the difference?
So
it's fluent in both languages.
Ms. Byrne, Mr. Leja was asking Mr. Cadenas.
So they would just be more accustomed to the technical terms that come up. Like, for example, if an acronym comes up, CFD, it's a community facilities district. So in Spanish, you would have to say un distrito de, un distrito de comunidad. and then you say CFD por sus siglas en inglés, and then you carry on. So it would just have to be that. But also, I mean, and also one thing you would do is you would provide the material ahead of time. So they would come over any terminology that would come up, and that would sort of prepare you for that as well. Right.
Thank you.
Very good.
Is there, Mr. Godinez, is there a certificate or, I don't want to say license for this, but
So if you're working at a hospital, there's the medical interpreter, there's state, federal, and then if you're working at a court, there's also that certification, and then you get like a number, and you can use that. I don't have one. I work at a school. It just has to do with the testing that you go through to get that certification. I do have a certificate from UCR Extension in translation and interpretation. But again, I had to test for RUSD through their different levels, through their tests, in order to be qualified to be a translator interpreter for the school that I work at. So it depends. You wouldn't need a medical or court or legal terminology license for this setting. But it just depends on also what's available with the agency. And basically I would be qualified to do this. I can't, I'd be stepping out of my role, but just so you know what level of qualification is needed.
thank you.
Do you have the,
I think I have the information, you know, I can start gathering and putting together and I'll bring this back in the near future. Just to make sure that we're all in agreements as to where we're at and have estimates as to for services. I would imagine based on the language, it's going to be different rates. That's just my assumption. You know, a Spanish translator versus, you know, Cantonese or something like that.
Right, let's just get the information and
Perfect.
work with it.
One last thing I just want to share with the board. While it's not perfect, our website does have Google Translate available through that, which is a number of hundreds of languages available, frankly. And then one of the newest things through Civic Web, which is our portal for our board minutes here, they are installing it as well. And not only will it translate the information on the website, it'll translate all of our PDF documents. Again, while it's not a perfect service, it will give the gist of what is being conveyed. And the other part of this is because we are recording our videos, by law, we have to have closed captioning available to them. So when this is published tomorrow, closed captioning will be available, and it's all through YouTube. And through YouTube, you can do the same thing and select a different language, and it will translate to whatever language you put on there.
very good,
So,
very good. Okay, next is Communications Committee reports, Mr. DeGuy.
yes, we are in summer, as we're all aware, because it was 100 and hot today. Our splash pads are operating great right now. So those are getting heavily used, both at Veterans Memorial Park as well as Glen Avon Heritage. They're getting used from 11 o'clock until they just shut off maybe 30 minutes ago. I can guarantee you they're being used the whole time with the heat we have today. So that's exciting. Just a reminder, tickets are available for the Independence Celebration, July 3rd at Vernola Family Park. Those are on sale until the end of the month. You buy 4, get 1 free is our pre-sale promotion that we have going on for that. Staff's well underway in the planning of that event. We had a coordinating meeting today with members of the city, police department, fire department, and our staff, just going through logistics of the site itself. Just for the information of the board, you know, when we've historically been at Patriot High School the last 4 or 5 years here, we use essentially the inside of the football field as well as part of one of the 2 of the baseball and softball fields there for the different games and stuff. The area that we have at Vernola Park, even with part of it cautioned off for the fallout zone for the fireworks, is still 3 times the size of what we were using in the past. And then staff did work and do a good job. We were able to secure the dirt lot on the northwest side of Belgrave and Wineville, that the old breeding thoroughbred facility, and they've given us permission for parking for that facility as well. So logistics wise should go very well. We're excited for that. Youth basketball, you guys know, is underway, and swim lessons started on Monday for the summer. So registration was phenomenal. We still have grants available for the summer for children under the age of 5 through California First 5 for swim lessons. Last year, we weren't able to give all the scholarships out. So hopefully we can go through, and they want to give us more money, but we gotta give away what we've already been allocated. So if anybody knows anybody that needs swim lessons for children under 5, there are qualifications based on income level, but there's no reason that we can't have swim lessons for the kids here in our community. So we're really excited to be offering that program again as well. And then other than that, I just want to remind everybody, next Tuesday is our first concert in the park, and that is at Rancho Loma. 6:30 start, free to everybody. I believe that is the Latin Soul Band. Yeah, so every Tuesday through end of July, with the exception of the week of the 4th of July. Otherwise than that, that will conclude my general manager report.
Thank you. And we'll start with board comments. Mr. Godinez?
Yes, sorry, I couldn't be there. I came down with something, so I don't want to risk anyone. But yeah, thank you to the staff for everything they do. I just want to ask the community for a little bit of patience as we, go through this language thing. We are trying our best, and it's a little bit of growing pains, but hopefully we come out with something that is formidable and worthy of our community. Thank you.
Mrs. Byrne?
Yes, thank you again. Though I'm not there, I hear claps, and I think I'm feeling some positive vibes out there. So thank you for continuing to alert us of things that are needed out in the community. Again, we are putting our best foot forward, and we're starting small, but I know that we can handle anything that you might hand us. So please don't hesitate. Get in contact with your representative, as we said, and as you now hear our roll call that we do call out your division so that you can do that. So please continue that, and thank you again for all your participation.
Mr. Leach?
I have no comments this evening.
Mr. Castellan?
Yeah, thank you for staff for all the work, everything you've done for us lately and setting this up. Also, thank you for the community again for coming. I encourage you all to, as you come here, to also come to a lot of our community events. There's a lot of exciting things coming down the pipeline, and also the classes as well. If you have your children or yourselves enrolled, I encourage you all to really come out. And lastly, I take it all that you come here in good faith, whether you show up today or not, or the next meeting. So I'm going to take it in good faith, that you will show up, and in regards to some of the items that we talked about, that we have that line of communication. So we do provide the best services possible to the community. I'll say it in Spanish. Gracias por los que vinieron hoy. Let's encourage. Let's
Alentamos.
that, yeah. So que vengan a nuestras clases, nuestras actividades. Agradecido. But I encourage you all to come. Que vengan a nuestras actividades que les damos de parques. Vienen conciertos en el parque. Que vamos a tener verano, y también los queremos ver que vengan, no nomás a las juntas, pero a todo lo que tenemos por ustedes. Y también lo tomo en buena fe que vienen. Si vienen hoy, si no vienen la próxima semana, lo tomo en buena fe, y si los queremos tener ese diálogo y confianza con ustedes. Y eso es todo.
Gracias.
I mentioned that for many years, our district did not have swim lessons. And, drowning is one of the biggest health risks to small children in any community. And so if any of you know anyone who lives in Garupa Valley whose children are 5 and under, please, please, please encourage them to take advantage. There is nothing that would keep them from, I'm trying to say, there should be no barrier to learning how to swim because you are low income, and we have these scholarships. And it is so important that these children learn how to swim so that they don't have any health risks from swimming. I know it's important for my children to learn to swim, and I'm sure all of you who have children who are grown now, it's important to you as well. So please let your friends and family know, even if they're low income, there shouldn't be any barrier to their children learning how to swim. Okay, next we have the committee report on the Trails and Arenas Committee. Mr. Leja, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we had a meeting out at Larimore Park last night, and it was a very good meeting. We had quite a few members of the public come out that use those arenas. And we talked about what we hope to accomplish. They talked about and gave us ideas about what they hope we can accomplish there. And I think it was very productive. We got information on how they would like the arenas groomed, shaped, to have some bullpens put in to tie up in extra tie-up areas for the horses. And I hope that the next one is just as,
Yeah.
goes this as well. But it was a very productive meeting, and it was very nice to have all that public input for the people that actually use those arenas.
Well, it was like 20 to 25 people there.
Yes, it was quite a
For the
bit.
rest of the board, and it was just a really great give and take of information, and learned a lot from them. And and we learned the shape. We were talking about changing the shape of the small arena, and we learned no, this is the way it is now is what they need. And so it was very good. We had that meeting.
Yes.
And learned what they wanted there, and it worked out very well. That was a very good meeting. Future committee meetings, budget and personnel is meeting on June 14th at 10 a.m. And do any board members have any agenda items for future board meetings? Okay, you can see we have our upcoming meetings on June 23rd and July 14th. And Mr. DeWitt, what time is it?
7:47.
Okay, and so this meeting is adjourned at 7:47. And Mr. Castellan, we got you out of here before 8 o'clock.
Thank you.
No problem. And here, Mr. DeWitt, is your phone.
Thank you.
For Mrs. Stern.
I'm gonna be hanging out, Miss Burns, and my phone is about to die.
And if you can pass it down.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night, Jose. Good night, everybody.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Bob.
Bye, Rob.
Oh, is that yeah.
These are the food best forms.
Ms. Johnson? I would ask that you go back and watch the meeting tonight and watch their body language and see what happened in the reactions. You did scold us, and I was really taken back by that. Watch your body language, listen to your words, cut through. I'm not saying this, watch it. Please, all of us are not even aware of the subconscious. So you were angered and literally your body showed it. So I'm just letting you know also in the process of this that as you see, you're human, you're allowed passion and to have things, but so are we. And like I stated there, 5 of us took off work for a meeting set and picked by the time from the council. I know, it was a private meeting.
Oh, okay.
And
it's gonna be like, did we
no,
do that?
no, but I'm telling you, literally took off work, changed our whole schedule around and was not even given the respect of a phone call. We waited and waited and waited and called in and got voicemail.
But that wasn't us.
No, but I'm telling you though, so when we have that happen and then we have this happen, remember, it is one organization in my mind. It is all Garupa Valley. It is all Mariloma. This is it. So each one of you, you've taken on a very visible position in your choice here. So understand that, and I do hold you to a higher standard. You have to be. Okay, and I would ask again, just watch your body language, listen to your words, and then just say and own it.
And
If
I
you
want to
do,
say thank you for coming to our meetings. I think it's important and I hope you go to the planning commission. as well.
yes, actually, that was the first ones that I
All of this
went
should
to.
be going to the water board meetings as well.
Actually, yes, I've already went and I have attended water board
In some
meetings.
ways, I think it's affect our daily life in terms of cost more than any other.
Yeah.
That any of us have.
I actually knew the girls that ran over there for many years. I go in there and I knew them probably personally and their love of animals. And
Which lake? You mean Santa Ana River water or
Yes.
JCSD?
no, Santa
Oh, you're
Ana.
in Santa Ana River, never.
Yeah, so I was
thinking
always involved
JCSD.
and did go to their meetings, you know.
Yeah.
But now there's a whole change of staff over there and now we are getting to know each other.
Do you have the board members on the Santa Ana River Water Board? I mean, is
I
it,
have met,
do you have to elect them?
I've met a
Elect them?
couple of them.
You guys have to vote
Yes.
and elect them.
We just had voting right now. I just voted.
Okay.
So I am
It's just a
involved.
totally different thing than anybody else in Group Valley deals with.
Yeah, it,